is the TV Today Network. And you are watching Headlines Today.
Hello and welcome to Nothing But the Truth. How does the Congress Party view the new Prime Minister? That's one of the key issues I shall discuss today with the Deputy Leader of the Opposition in the Rajya Sabha, the former Minister of Commerce and Industry, Anand Sharma. Mr. Sharma, let's start with the Prime Minister's maiden speech in the Lok Sabha. The Hindu said it struck a conciliatory note. The Times of India called it non-partisan. The Indian Express said inclusion was the key. In contrast, why did Congress say it lacked content and it was simply a repetition of the same old rhetoric?
I think so, because if you go by the election speeches, the same thing was repeated. Let me also say that on Sunday, when the Prime Minister of India was speaking at a book launch of the Carnegie, he said something about speed, scale
and skill
and skills that was exactly there in the presidential address. So skilling, of course, I do not fault him. So you mean to say
the repeating himself periodically?
No, what I think that they have not got out of the election mode. The elections are over. There should have been more substance as to how they are going to proceed, because the President's address had a blueprint.
Can I put this to you? Many people feel that in fact this comment by your party that the Prime Minister's speech lacked content, that it was the same old rhetoric, is actually churlishness.
It's not churlishness, because we would like to know what is meant by minimum government and maximum governance, which is there in the presidential address.
I'll come to those issues.
Karan, because it's important for me to underscore that all the election slogans have been reproduced in the presidential address, which is unprecedented.
Well, maybe not. Let's
but
come to
I'm
that.
not.
Let's
it is
come
the
to that in a
prerogative
moment's
of
time.
that government.
Let me put something else to you. Has the pain of defeat so blinded Congress that they can't see the change that everyone else can readily accept?
No, I think people are getting carried away. This is a honeymoon period. People are not carefully analyzing, because now it is no more the election rhetoric. We are having a situation, a new government has assumed office, a transfer of power that takes place in a democracy is taken. We have come to the opposition because we have lost the election. Therefore, now it is for the new government to explain to the country and to the parliament as to how they are going to fulfill what they have committed in the presidential address.
That, in a very real sense, is what the Prime Minister did in his maiden speech. Let's pick up on some of the things he said.
Well, I can say about Rajya Sabha, where he spoke and I spoke, I don't think there was anything.
Well, let me quote some of the things he said, and then you respond to that. To begin with, the Prime Minister said, "Whatever be the numbers here, I do not want to move ahead without you. Without your support, my mandate is incomplete." And then he added, "I will seek your support and guidance as we proceed." When was the last time a Prime Minister with a majority on his own spoke in these accommodating terms to the opposition?
Of a Prime Minister with a majority of his own. There have been Prime Ministers who have had majorities of their own.
But they've never spoken in these terms.
No, that's not true. It's not a question of mere words. It's a question of action.
What give him time? He's only been there 12 days.
Listen, we have said so. I said to him in the parliament when I was speaking that if you say so, that is welcome. We'll appreciate that, and you will have our constructive cooperation. But the issue is a larger one. If the Prime Minister sincerely means this, then I have a question.
But hang on a moment.
No, I have a question.
Why are you even questioning his sincerity?
Please, let me tell you. Let me tell you. Why does he not recognize the largest party's leader as the leader of opposition?
I'll come to that. I promise you I'll come to that, because I want to
build... And why they are resisting?
I want to build a lot of this interview on that. I'll come to that. You're saying to me at this moment that one reason why you don't accept the Prime Minister's sincerity when he says, "My mandate is incomplete without you," when he says that "I will not move ahead without your support,"
no, I never said that I'm questioning his sincerity. I said it has to be translated into action.
I'll come to
These
that.
are only words.
I'll come to that in a moment's time. Let me first talk to you a little bit more about things the Prime Minister said before I discuss with you why you question his sincerity. The second thing the Prime Minister said, which was astonishing for people, was the way he spoke about Muslims. He said, "We need to focus activity to change the lives of Muslims. They cannot be left behind in development." And then he added, "We will have to bring such programs. I do not view such programs from within the prism of appeasement. I see them to bring about a change in their lives. Now that is almost 100% different from what he said earlier. Why won't you give him credit for that?
Well, we have to wait. These are early days. I have a question there again. I hope the Prime Minister means well, and this is truly something which the country would appreciate, that this is coming from a government and a Prime Minister who had a different position, but he is the Prime Minister of the country today.
You mean to say words are not enough? You want action to prove he means this?
Why the Prime Minister chose to be silent when an innocent IT professional was murdered, lynched in Pune? Don't you think the Prime Minister should have spoken? It would have resonated in the country and across.
I can accept your point, but now I need to clarify the point you're making. You're saying that the Prime Minister's sincerity needs to be proved by what he not just says, but what he does, and therefore if he means what he said about Muslims in his speech,
questioning his sincerity.
He should have condemned the attack on
I
the
think
techie.
that because people would hear more from this Prime Minister and wait whether he's responding to their concerns, to their fears, and to the kind of hysteria which is being whipped up on communal lines by certain elements, fringe elements.
So the failure to condemn the brutal killing of a techie just because he had a beard and was seen to be Muslim.
I'll say it was a default which should not have taken place.
And that has raised question marks about whether you can believe these words about Muslims in his speech.
No, I think we would have believed more if the Prime Minister orders firmest possible action in these situations.
All right. Let's come to a third thing the Prime Minister said, which again seemed to have struck a chord both with the media and with large sections of the country. It's the things he said about the states, it's the things he said about federalism. And I'm going to quote him. "We cannot have a big brother attitude. We have to treat all states as equal. PM and CMs will have to work as a team." And then he added, "States have their own problems and strengths. We have to develop a model to understand their problems." And I put it to you once again, that sort of language to chief ministers in the states was never heard when UPA was in power. This is new.
It's not a question of Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh was not used to making loud statements, but he had regular correspondence with the chief ministers.
But he never spoke in these words.
No. Second thing is, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and our government was very conscious about the needs of the states. Now, if you have a situation where adversarial positions are taken, I remember the NDC meetings where the present Prime Minister and the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu and some other Chief Ministers came with prepared speeches which stopped short of only abusing the Prime Minister and the government.
It's very interesting you're mentioning the NDC. In fact, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu was not allowed to deliver a speech. She walked out. She walked out in anger, saying that she was asked to take it as read. Take it as read. She wasn't allowed to deliver it.
No, it's not true. That's wrong. Those were theatrics. She spoke. There was a time limit which was announced that this is there. The electronic board will flash the remaining time, and she took objection to that.
Can I put this to you? Do you not see a marked difference between Dr. Manmohan Singh's attitude to the states and chief ministers and the new Prime Minister?
No, how was Dr. Manmohan Singh unfair?
Not unfair. I'm saying a marked difference in attitude. You're bringing up the question of fairness. I'm just saying the attitude is different.
No, what is the attitude? Only as speech. Let's see how it works.
You want proof again?
No, listen. It's not a question of proof. It's a question of lack of understanding. We were also consulting the states regularly. When you take the major projects and the major initiatives, including the state of Gujarat, take the case of the National Manufacturing Policy or the Industrial Cities of the Future. Take the case of Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. We negotiated, please allow me to complete, we negotiated with Japan. Gujarat is one of the major beneficiaries.
The states thought of the Congress government under the UPA as a big brother. You never said we will not be a big brother. Mr. Modi is addressing a concern many state chief ministers have. You never addressed it.
No, this is a unfair accusation and aspersion. It is far removed from facts and truth.
All right, I'll accept that. Others may disagree. I will accept it.
There will be some who will agree with me. There will be some who will disagree.
Absolutely.
But let me tell you, those who disagree are not privy to our functioning. Those who are casting aspersions.
Just a moment. You're simply claiming those who disagree don't know the truth.
No,
that's an unfair way of putting it.
No, let me tell you why. Because the kind of transfer of funds which was taking place, the kind of consultations which were taking place. Karan, let me tell you how the government's function.
Just a moment. Why did you not then get that recognition from state chief ministers? Why did practically all of them feel that Congress was a big brother?
No.
They welcome Mr. Modi. They never welcomed your response.
No, I'm sorry. These are political positions being taken. It is to portray outgoing government or the former government and the Prime Minister in poor light. That's why I said it is unfair, because if you look at the details of how the resources allocations were made, any state which had special needs, there was a response from the central government.
Let's leave this issue aside. I want to now come back to something I interrupted you on, because you said to me very clearly that you would believe the sincerity of the Prime Minister's words when he was reaching out to the opposition and claiming, my mandate is incomplete without you, when he gives a satisfactory response on the LOP issue. I want to come to that LOP issue, because clearly that is one reason why Congress is skeptical of this government. That's one reason why you don't accept this government's opinions, this government's statements at face value. You believe that the BJP is trying to deny the Congress the official leader of opposition status. The problem is they can't give it to you. Parliament functions by precedents, as you know better than me, and all the precedents are against you. That's the problem.
In what way?
I'll tell you. This is very interesting. To begin with, the Lok Sabha has only had an official leader of the opposition when the single largest opposition party has had a minimum of 1/10 of the seats. When it hasn't had that number, and that was the case from 1950 to 69, and that was again the case through the 80s when Indira and Rajiv Gandhi were in power, in those instances, when the largest opposition party was less than 1/10, you did not have an official leader of the opposition. Now that precedent is so well established, you can't throw it away just to satisfy Congress.
I'm not saying throw away the precedents. Precedents are there, but you have to respond to situations. Why I'm saying so, during that period, the constitutional requirements, particularly of the LOP, to be there when you select a Lokpal, when you select a director of CBI, when you appoint a CVC, when you, even in the judicial appointments. Now when you are keeping the LOP position vacant, or the talks which we hear that some kind of combination will be formed.
How will these posts be? I'll answer that.
Who will discharge that
I'll
function?
answer that for you. At the moment, the tradition is that the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha joins the government for the CVC appointment, the CRC appointment, the Lokpal appointment, the NHRC appointment. Now, if you don't have an official leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, you do have an official leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha. Ghulam Nabi Azad. Ghulam Nabi Azad can step in and do it.
They have to amend the act?
Well, they can. That's not a problem. It's a very easy thing to do.
Have they said so?
Well, they haven't as yet even officially announced that Congress won't get the LOP position. Your whole lack of trust in the PM is predicated on that suspicion.
We are not making that aspersion. Their ministers have openly made the statements, including the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. It is not the Congress which has spoken.
That precedents don't permit it. They've also added. That the Speaker will decide. She hasn't decided.
No,
yet.
it is a prerogative of the Speaker. But I have a point there to make. If these constitutional needs have to be fully met, then a response should be there, and perhaps one is forgetting
but don't you see
that UPA is a pre-poll alliance.
So what?
And UPA together has more than adequate numbers.
Forgive me, on that too you're wrong. I've checked with Subhash Kashyap, the former Secretary General of the Lok Sabha, and perhaps one of the greatest recognized authorities on the functioning of the Lok Sabha. And the truth is that in fact pre-poll or post-poll alliances and coalitions are simply conveniences and understandings between parties. They have no legal basis in Parliament, and I'll tell you why they don't. Both the 1977 Leader of Opposition in Parliament Act and then the 1998 Leaders and Whips of Parties and Groups Facilities Act do not recognize either alliances or any other sort of arrangement between parties.
That's the recognized parties. That's a separate issue altogether.
It's not. It's not.
Listen,
you're claiming the LOP position on the grounds that you're a UPA, and I'm saying the UPA alliance is not recognized by these acts.
I agree. I concede. But let me also tell you, when a government formation takes place, whether it was NDA or whether it was UPA, is the pre-poll alliance which the President of India recognizes. So I am only saying that they have to find a solution. That's all what I am saying. If the Prime Minister is sincere, that intent is there to be conciliatory.
You're going, Mr. Sharma, one step beyond simply saying they have to find a solution, because you began right at the start of this interview saying that the reason you're skeptical and doubtful of the Prime Minister's consensual approach is because of the attitude over the LOP. Now, the attitude over the LOP is A, in your mind, just a suspicion, because we don't know the actual final position, and B,
it's their minister's statement. It's not my suspicion.
The minister only said,
not one, but three ministers.
The ministers only said the precedents are against you. The ministers also said the Speaker will decide. The Speaker hasn't decided.
I'm sorry.
But you've jumped the gun.
Let me tell you that, no, we never jumped the gun. You're missing the third statement.
Which is?
which is said that the people have not given them that status. Why should we?
Well, that's true.
Yes, we
True.
accept.
It's undeniable.
Listen, who's denying that what is our number?
No, but the point I'm saying is that your lack of conviction, your lack of desire to believe the Prime Minister when he reaches out is based either on suspicion or churlishness,
So far,
or the pain of defeat hasn't gone away.
No, listen, let me put this thing very clearly. Pain of defeat is there, that is but natural. But at the same time, we are very pragmatic. With humility, we have accepted the verdict. We are not bitter in defeat. Pain and bitterness are two different things. And what is important for me to point out, Karan, and allow me, this is important. When we came into government, those who lost the election, those who have won this time, they were bitter. And they did not allow the then Prime Minister even to introduce his Council of Ministers. They did not allow the first budget to be tabled or discussed. The budget had to be passed by voice vote. We have respected, listen, we have respected the dignity of the Prime Minister's office. In both the houses, with the thumping of desks, his ministers were introduced.
In other words, you're saying...
never interrupted the Prime Minister in both the houses.
You are today a better opposition than the BJP was in 2004.
We are respecting what should be the parliamentary traditions.
Okay.
Was the Prime Minister ever interrupted by any of my colleagues in both the houses?
I take your point. Let me pause and at this point take a break. When I come back, I want to put you a second reason why people believe Congress is upset with the BJP and once again argue